Hi guys, I just had to delete the previous video that I made, which does not surprise me. You know, the audio just magically vanished at 7 minutes and 48 seconds, I was told, something like that. And it was interesting because I just posted on my community tab, you see here, how the video that I was currently uploading, some confirmations came via comments. And there they are. Let's see my reply. So what I'm going to do now is try and quickly redo that video. It won't be as long, but I just want to cover the same points. And the points were this. We've identified this time frame we seem to have, which is 10 Jan through to 11 Jan, these couple of days. I mean, there's a few days outside of the 11th of Jan. That channel, I think it's GEVTE, however you pronounce that, he sort of pointed to, possibility of calendar being off a month, and I know we've all heard this before, but the way he explained it, if you go and have a look at his last video, I think it was his last one, the way he explained it did make sense, and in fact, even if it was off a month, it meant things still fell just where we need them to fall now. But through to perhaps on his rationale, I think it was around the 15th of Jan was his last date, or maybe even the 24th. He mentioned the 24th in his video as well. But my point is, we're looking at two timelines. I'm discounting for now the ones with a man-made start date, like if you watch Steve Fletcher's last video, the 1335 and the, I think it was 1260 or 1290 day counts, where they were based on an event that happened in the world. So I'm specifically concentrating on the 2300 day count because the start for that is also in the Bible. It's not a man-made up one. So we're starting from a Revelation 12 sign, and we know, well, the Revelation 12 sign occurred. We know when it occurred. So it's a more biblical start date count, and therefore I'm going to just use that and apply the 2300 days, which brings us to the Jan 11. Now that's, I think 2300 days is from Daniel, isn't it? So let's just say that's the Jewish start date, right? We are now looking at the convergence of moons all occurring on Jan 11th on the Gregorian start date, and people are speculating that could be the time of a rapture. Speculating. So, interesting, if you live in Australia, at 2 a.m. in the morning on the 11th is around about sunset in Israel on the 10th becoming the 11th, if you get what I mean. So there's a 2-hour window where here in Australia, we're on the 11th, Israel still via sunset, not via midnight, is on the previous day. Now, the purpose of the rapture, the purpose of all of this sort of stuff, right? We know it is God turning his focus back to Israel for 7 years. It takes 7 years. Boy, they are a stubborn bunch. But anyway, for 7 years. So it is all about refocusing back on the Jews. So let's go with, how could you create the most impact for the Jews? Now, Jan 10th is Tevet 29. It's Kaduri's death. It's all tied in with things Steve Fletcher mentioned, and Brother Victor here, and Getv or GVTE, Gevti, that channel. He mentioned things similar. This is a big deal for the Jews. Kaduri was like the most famous modern-day rabbi. This is a big deal. How much impact would it make for the Jewish people, if we were raptured on our timeline, the 11th, and it was still the 10th on theirs, because of time zones, etc., worldwide. And I know that doesn't apply everywhere, but I'm just talking about Australia, actually. Oh, well, I guess it's other time zones in the southern hemisphere, but how much impact would it make for a rapture to occur on a day that we sort of, I wouldn't say predicted, but were watching very closely, which was also the anniversary, which is our Jan 11, in Israel. In Australia, that'll still be Jan 10, which is also the anniversary of Kaduri's death and all the associated prophecies around his note and what they could potentially mean. It would be amazing timing. So I'm not setting a rapture date. I only ever set high watch periods, but this certainly is a massive one. We have a culmination of sort of Jewish things happening on the 10th, and one of their most beloved rabbis and his note that was read a year after his death. We've got all that Ariel Sharon stuff, the two Benjamins, the prophecy about that. We have our crazy moon symmetry graph that's just been released by people like Daniel Taylor and Ken Potter, Steve Fletcher, first shown to me by Garrett the News Guy. It's obviously been in development behind the scenes for a while, but for some reason God seemed to have just put it all on hold. And then 3.5 days ago, 3.5 days out from the 11th, he sort of announced it. That's when it all sort of started to hit the internet. By the 11th of January, it was only about 3.5 days earlier that this information all started to pour out. That's a pretty amazing thing as well. And we also have the new moon, another amazing thing. Now, with the new moon, that's on the 11th, but it won't be sighted on the 11th. It probably won't be sighted till the 12th or the 13th. How that ties in to the possibility of a rapture, I'm not sure. What it means, I don't know. It could mean that the 11th could potentially pass and it's waiting for the sighting of the new moon to be more impactful to the Jews, perhaps, for something to happen at a time when we're observing the way they start the month by looking for the moon. So it's all up in the air at the moment. We just need to continue to watch. We just need to know in our hearts that Jesus was perfect and sinless, and it's not by any works of our own. The only way to the Father is through the Son. That's it. None of our works will amount to anything, so we've got to just totally give it over to Jesus, guys, because his was the only perfect sacrifice. If you think you're working your way into heaven by doing good things, you're possibly working your way out. I say that loosely, but you know what I mean. Because it was Jesus' works, not ours. And as ours are filthy, the more works we try to add to the salvation, the farther we're taking ourselves away from it. Anyway, guys, God bless. Keep looking up. Like, share, comment. Please get over onto my community tab because that's where I share mass amounts of stuff. You can see here, that was Brother Victor's recent update. Loved it. Another one here by Faithful God. That was a good one. Watchwoman 65 just did a good one. This one here by Crossheart Ministries is possibly the best summary that I've seen to date as to what we're seeing in the last few days. I would encourage you to definitely go and watch that, Crossheart Ministries. All these can be found on my community tab. Anyway, guys, God bless. Take care. I don't know if I'll be making another video today. Who knows? So much is happening so fast. We'll see.